Welcome back to our class. Today we are going to be looking at grade 10's work, term 1. Basically, what we're going to look at is what you call biosphere to ecosystems. From biosphere to ecosystem. Which one is small? Which one is big? What is it? What is involved in each? Biosphere. And when you say ecosystems, it means that we have different kinds of ecosystems. All right. That is an example of a biosphere. And also another example of a biosphere. Grade 10's work, term 1 with M.Saidi. So M.Saidi is the presenter. You have any questions? The number is always provided just here below. Thunder Educ as the sponsor for this lesson. Before I start, I would like to thank Lucky Shelley 9538. Got my life science distinction. Ooh, sir, I didn't believe it. Thank you very much. And I reply to him, keep it up. Thanks for watching our content. This is one of message. We receive a number of messages like this. This is a student who has just done their matric and the results are back and is very happy. I would like you to send me a message privately. Yes, the number is there. So that Thunder Educ can give you a gift. At least you did not embarrass us. And we know that at least maybe we'll change with Goldie's help a number of students' life. When we receive such messages, we become stronger. We become stronger and we start to write more content so that we present this content to other kids who need help. This is the only channel where you can study from home and you get a distinction. With the help of our videos, focus on them because we show you everything which you might get in exam. So I've shown this message to a grade 10 video, not because I wanted to show them what is happening in grade 12, but I wanted to inspire them that the channel you are on is the right channel. Expect a distinction. Before you get a distinction, don't settle down. The distinction is there in that bucket. You just have to pick it up. Just follow our content. You will get a distinction. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to others also that they can benefit from our content. Soon or later, we will be visiting your schools and we will be live in your schools. Thank you very much. Let's start without wasting time. Biosphere. When you talk about biosphere, what does it mean? When you talk about biosphere, a biosphere comes from the word bio, which means, when you say the word bio, means life, and sphere means a ball. It means that this ball must have life, is dealing with life, or a ball where you can find life. So that's the meaning of biosphere. So biosphere is a global or is a globe ecosystem composed of living organisms. The living organisms in science, we call it biota. Remember, when you talk about the word bio, it means life. So where life exists, we call it biota. And the non-living factors are biotic. So these are the non-living component of the ecosystem or the biosphere. We call it abiotic, from which they derive energy and nutrients. However much this content, this is not living, but we need it in our daily life so that our life can be sustained. Not whatever you are using is living. Not whatever you are using, it once lived. Some of them, yes, they are living. Some of them, they once lived, but then we have to use them to interact with them so that life can be sustained. So when you talk about biosphere, you must think of that area where you have both living and non-living component. Not only living alone, not only non-living alone, but these two must work together so that life can be sustained. Or we can say that biosphere is made up, you see this color is a marking point, is made up of the parts of the earth where life exists. Anywhere on this earth where life exists, we call it biosphere. So if you move out of that area where life does not exist, that is not biosphere. In other words, you'll find all the different ecosystem in the biosphere, because ecosystem is dealing with life. So we are saying that, therefore, it is referred to as the global ecosystem, because all living organisms on the earth live in it. We have different types and kinds of ecosystems. But because these ecosystems, they form a ball-like where life exists, so we call it global ecosystem. So all lives are in these different, when I say lives, it means that different life. Yes, water, when we talk about water, when we talk about air, when we talk about land, when we talk about, so all those different kinds of life, where life exists, we call it a biosphere, because it forms a globe, yes, where these organisms interact with each other. Then we form what you call global ecosystem. If you don't understand something, drop the question in the comment below. Biosphere is made up of three components. Three components make up the biosphere. The first one is atmosphere, which means air. The sphere, which is made up of air. Yes. Number two is lithosphere. Lithosphere, which means crust. A sphere, which is made up of crust, that is the soil. And then lastly, hydrosphere. Hydrosphere means a sphere which is made up of water. Here, that's where you find fish, those organisms which are found in oceans, lakes, dams, rivers, all those spheres or all those areas where you find water, we call them hydrosphere. And these areas, however much it is called hydrosphere, it does not mean, or lithosphere or atmosphere, it does not mean that in all the atmosphere, all the lithosphere, and all the hydrosphere, you will find life there. The only part which you will find life in atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, then will form what we call the biosphere. So the part of lithosphere, for example, if this is a lithosphere, you'll find life here, maybe this part, and then you'll find life there, then another part, maybe this is the lithosphere, this is atmosphere, you'll find life there, and then another part where maybe this is the hydrosphere, where you find life. So where you find life is what you call now the biosphere. All right, we'll explain that more as we continue. Let's look at atmosphere. Is the layer of gases surrounding the Earth. Where you find gases, we call it atmosphere. So if there are no gases, there is nothing in there, do we call it atmosphere? That space where there is no gases at all, how do we call it? Maybe it's going to become a vacuum, just a space, nothing's there, no air. So not whatever space you see is atmosphere. Maybe it could be a vacuum. Sorry. They're saying that atmosphere's ability to absorb ultraviolet rays of the sun is what allows the life on the Earth to survive. So atmosphere has some benefits. Which benefits do we get from atmosphere? Some of the benefits is, if imagine we don't have atmosphere at all and these gases are not being absorbed. It means that we would have been in ice age, because if this light, either would have been all the whole world in hot spring or like a desert, or would have been the ice age. If this heat does not reach the Earth, it means that we would have been with life, would have been in extreme cold. And if this Earth does not absorb this to remain with a small energy to reach the Earth, still we would have been in a very hot environment which we cannot survive. So atmosphere has a very, very, very important function it does to Earth and us, so that we can survive. So that is an example of atmosphere, those gases where you see these gases. Yes, it's atmosphere. You see these gases. Then this is a diagrammatic representation of what happens, the function of the atmosphere when the light rays come from the sun as short waves. Because they are strong, they can penetrate. The shorter you are, you can complete. Yeah, so because they are short, they can penetrate. Yes, it means that if they can penetrate, they are being reflected back as long waves. Long waves, they are weak. They go as long waves. They are weak. They can't penetrate. So the longer you are, you can complete. So it means that if they come as short waves, they are very strong. Ne? So they can penetrate through this layer. Because now some heat is absorbed here, some heat is bounced back, still absorbed, it makes the Earth to warm up. because the earth is warming up, it means that it causes the earth not to freeze. And then the lives on the earth can be sustained. Yes. So what about the lithosphere? Lithosphere is the crust, is the rocky outer part of the earth. It is made up of brittle. When you say brittle crust, brittle is something when you throw it, it can break. So brittle crust, brittle soil, brittle stones, whatever. And the top part of the upper mantle. When you say mantle or mantle, whatever, you are talking about the upper layer of the earth. Remember, you have the core. When you're talking about people of geography, I think you know this better than I do. So you have the core. So the upper layer, the outer layer. Remember, this core is extremely hot. Is extremely hot. But how is that hotness being absorbed? It's being absorbed by the soil. So basically, we have the heat or the heater from top, that is the sun, and we also have the heater from down, that is the mantle. So we are just in the middle of two structures which are extremely hot. So if the soil cannot absorb this heat, definitely would have been burnt. That's why you can see what we call the volcanoes are happening, volcanic eruptions. When they come out, that mantle comes out as in a liquid form before it solidifies. Yes, what happens? It comes out with a very high heat. This heat can burn everything which is surrounding it. If it happens in the lake can evaporate. That's how heat it is, how hot it is. So the earth, the lithosphere, is also very important in keeping us safe from this heat. That's why we're saying that lithosphere is the coolest and most rich part of the earth. The upper part of the mantle is the coolest. As you go down to the core, what will happen? The hotter it becomes. Yes. Lithosphere shields living organisms from the heat of the Earth's core. That's what I was explaining, that this lithosphere is very important in shielding us. So when it shields us, it means that we are safe from this burning, hot, blazing fire. So it is doing a good job so that life can be sustained. It also contains ionic compound, ionic. When you talk about ionic compound, this is a word from chemistry. This is a positively charged ion or particle, or a negatively charged particle. It can be, for example, calcium, or it can be chloride. So these minerals, we get them from the soil. When you see a mine, they are extracting these ions, these minerals. These minerals can also be part of us because we need them in our daily life for normal functioning of our bodies. So ionic compounds which allow plants and animal life to exist. Without this, for example, you don't have calcium in the bones. What is going to happen? You won't walk because the bones will be as fluffy as a feather. Very, you can't stand. It's like meat, muscles. So These ionic compounds, they are very important to our lives. Most of them, we get them from the soil. So that is an example of a lithosphere. See when you see it from above. Let's go to hydrosphere. Hydro comes from the word water. So it is a sphere which is made up of water. So hydrosphere is a combined mass of water found on, under, and above the surface of the earth. Now, in this case, we are talking about the rain. You can talk about the rivers, lakes, because they are found and then when we talk about the boreholes, where do they get the water from? That is underground water. So basically, this water is also classified based on the where it is found. So all those categories, we categorize them as hydrosphere. Examples of this hydrosphere, we have what you call the lakes, the rivers, springs. What's a spring? What's the difference between a spring and a river? A spring is a little bit smaller and shorter in terms of what? In terms of length, where it goes, and smaller a bit, and the depth is not that much. So oceans, what's the difference between the ocean and the lakes? Apart from size, that the ocean is too big, ocean has what called salt water, while lakes have, most lakes, let me specify like that, most lakes have fresh water. So fresh water, salt water. Fresh water and salt water. So all of them, we classify them as hydrosphere. It is a home for a variety of organisms in aquatic environment. It's a home for a wide diversity, meaning that a number of living organisms live in water. Plants, you can talk about organisms, microorganisms, big organism, macro, plants, animal. A number of organisms are found in water. Then, here is an example. When you talk about a lake, that's how it looks like. That is an example of the ocean. In most cases, when you're in the ocean, you see, look where you're going, you look on the sides, you look backward, you look on the other side. The only thing you see is water. Nothing else. And if you don't have a compass, the chances are high that people get lost. Rivers, also that is fresh water. Waterfalls, fresh water still. Streams, springs, they look the same. But if you look at this and this one is smaller. Rain, that is water from top. Remember we said that from down, on, under, and above. So all these are different kinds of water systems, so which belong to hydrosphere. How does the biosphere interact with other spheres? It means that for life to exist, all these spheres must interact with each other so that life can be brought about. Let's look at it. Disturbance in one sphere. When you disturb one sphere, definitely you have disturbed the others. That's how I always tell students are supposed to be, that if you disturb one student, another student must be disturbed too. That is the bond which is supposed to be between students of the same class. If one student doesn't understand, you must help that one who doesn't understand, if you have understood better. So for example, if you do deforestation, you are doing what is going to happen on deforestation. Don't forget that deforestation, cutting down trees. Trees are embedded in soil. What is that? Lithosphere. Trees have leaves in air. What is that? Atmosphere. Trees, when they absorb water from the soil, evaporation takes place. In science, we call it transpiration. It takes place. So when it transpired, when it carries out transpiration, when the water is lost through stomata from the plant to the atmosphere in form of vapor, then that is also hydrosphere. You see that all of them are this. It's the same tree, but it has all the three spheres. What happens if you cut these trees? This will result in an increase in erosion. Remember, it was embedded in soil, could trap this soil. So now erosion will come in. The upper layer of the lithosphere. Into rivers, what will happen in the rivers? Rivers, they will flood, see, which is hydrosphere. Deforestation, you see now you have tampered them. Deforestation will also increase the atmospheric carbon dioxide. You see what now we are tampering now the atmosphere. How? Because these trees were taking the carbon dioxide from air. So now you have cut them down, so there will be an increase. And then this is an example of how disturbance in one sphere produce an effect in another sphere. Hydrosphere, upper layer of the lithosphere, and the atmosphere. And also the amount of water which will be evaporated or which will be transpilated to the atmosphere will be less, because now you have cut the trees. And then now you're going to receive less rain. Why? Because you have cut the trees. The temperatures of the earth, they're going to increase. Why? Because carbon dioxide has increased, and then global warming is going to happen. When carbon dioxide increases, is one of the gases which cause a blanket and prevent the heat from escaping from the earth. And then you just cut one tree, but you have created millions and millions of disasters. In other words, most of the disasters we go through are as a result of this creature called human. These spheres are closely connected. They are very close. Touch one, you have touched the other. For example, many birds live in the biosphere. They fly, yes, through the air, that is the atmosphere, while water, that is hydrosphere, they often flows through the soil. You see, the water which is at hydrosphere, it flows where? Through the soil. Basically, air cannot exist without hydrosphere. Hydrosphere does not exist without lithosphere. Lithosphere that can't live without atmosphere. So they work together. They are extremely connected with one another. This means that a change in atmosphere can cause a change. When you change the atmosphere, can cause a change in hydrosphere. Not only hydrosphere, also lithosphere. and vice versa. That's how close connected they are. This is what I'm saying. This is what you call atmosphere. And this is what you call the lithosphere. And this is what you call the hydrosphere. But there is this area where this life is found. This area where the life is found is what we call the biosphere. In other words, biosphere is not a sphere. It's just an area. Among these three spheres where life exists, then it forms what we call the biosphere, the area where life is found. So it is not a sphere on its own. It's being formed as a result of the area where life exists among the three spheres. I hope, students, you understand. Let me know if you understand better or you need me to clarify something somewhere. So we're saying that atmosphere interacts, atmosphere, if this is atmosphere, it interacts with hydrosphere, it interacts with geosphere, that is the lithosphere, because geo still means crust. And then these three, they bring about what we call biosphere. So without one sphere, biosphere might not exist. So biosphere must be there. To be there, the three spheres must be there. However, one of the sphere can exist without biosphere, meaning that biosphere depends on these three spheres. And then this is the real diagram. These are birds, they're flying from air, but I don't expect they're gonna stay in air all the time. They have to go to the lithosphere. See? Sometimes they go to land, water, which is the hydrosphere. This one, sometimes they come still here, where they sleep. Understand? These ones, sometimes they go there. These ones, sometimes they move out to pick up air, depending on which kind of organisms is there, whether it's fully aquatic or amphibian. It can exist both in water and land. So there is a lot of interaction between these spheres. Biomes, yeah. Biosphere is divided into a number of biomes. And then these biomes, a biome is a collection of plant and animals that have common characteristics for the environment they live in or they exist. So a biome, it must have special characteristics, special plants and special animals. They must be living together. They have their own environmental conditions. Yes. Special environmental condition, which is different from another area. So we call them biomes. Biomes have distinct biological communities that have formed in a response to shared physical climate. So what determines all these characteristics are the physical climate, the climate we can see. Yes, climate that we can see. Temperature range, soil type, and amount of light and water are unique to these particular places. So temperature must be unique, soil type must be unique, the amount of light, how much light is entering there, and water, it could be fresh or solid, and then these components must be unique to that specific area. This is what is used to define a biome. That's why you're saying that is a collection of plants and animals that have common characteristics. So they have to be with a common characteristic in terms of environment they are living in. Yes. So our next class is gonna start with the types of biomes. I know that these biomes, they make students not to like to run away from life science, but they are simple, easy to understand and grasp. So keep in touch. Don't forget to subscribe. We will come back for these biomes until a distinction is obtained. M.Saidi, as usual, see you again.